Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Aradhana, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about one of my most favorite book, and which is a satire as well, and it is written by Dr. Shashi Tharoor. So any guesses? It is the great Indian novel by Shashi Tharoor, and today we are going to talk about the characters, the plot, the summary, the detailed summary, and all those kinds of things. As you know, I have done a lot of research about this book, so without any further ado, let's get started. And I make a lot of book related content on this channel, so if you like reading books and anything related to books, then you should subscribe to my channel. So without any further ado, let's get into today's video. So satire is one of my favorite genre to read, and Animal Farm and 1984 are one of my most favorite books. But there are not very much good satirical books in Indian literature, but there are a lot of writers who have written very good satires, and one of them is a book which I am going to review today. So today we're going to be reviewing the great Indian novel by none other than Shashi Tharoor, and I hope you must have seen this book and you must be knowing the name of this book. And let me assure you, this is quite a thick book, but you are gonna love this review and you are gonna love this book if you read it line by line. So this book is an amalgamation of the history of India, the history of pre-independent India and afterwards as well, and the Mahabharata. So as the matter or as the content of this book is very different and very difficult in a sort of way, so this book is also very complex in nature, and anybody who has tried to read this book, I have seen that people have either loved it or hated it. So, and most of people have not even finished the whole book. So my point is that if you start, push a little hard, you are just going to finish this book and you're gonna love it. It is very elegantly written, humorously written, and you're gonna laugh out loud during a few instances, and it's just gonna be worth it. So this book is a book of fiction, as it has been labeled on the back cover of the book, but this book is very close to reality. And if you have read history and you even know the basic events of history of pre-independent India and independent India, then you must be knowing while reading this book that this is hugely based on the real events of history, and it is quite very interesting, as well as very thought-provoking as well. Here we come to the title. Why is the title The Great Indian Novel? Because the Mahabharata is the greatest novel of India, the greatest fiction work of India, the greatest epic of India. So this novel has been named the Great Indian Novel because this is related to India and the peoples and the people and the personalities of India, the great personalities of India, of our history, and that is why it has been labeled as the Great Indian Novel. So as I earlier told you that there are a lot of characters in the novel, and because the content of the novel is very complex in nature, so I have made a list of all the characters which will be appearing somewhere here, so you can have a look at them, and also I will be telling you about those characters and what they represent in the Mahabharata and in this novel. So let's see. As you know that Mahabharata was written by Ved Vyas, and he was narrating the story to Ganpati, that is Lord Ganesha, and he was writing all those manuscripts. So here what happens is that Shashi Tharoor is narrating this novel to one of his colleagues, whose name he also says as Ganpati. This is how the novel starts, and he starts narrating all those things because he sees a very good resemblance between the Mahabharata and the Indian history. As we know, Bhishma Pitama was one of the central characters of Mahabharata, and it is very important to note that his contribution to Mahabharata was very important. And in the same way, Shashi Tharoor takes Gandhiji and puts him at Bhishma Pitama's place, and both the things are simultaneously going on. With what is happening with Gandhiji is happening with Bhishma Pitama, and what is happening with Bhishma Pitama is happening with Gandhiji. So he tried to tell us how similar both the characters were, and what their faults were, and what they did right, and what was their importance, and all those kinds of things. So beside the character of Ganga Dutt or Mahatma Gandhi, we have three other main characters, which were Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidur, who were the three sons of Vedvyas. So these three sons have been portrayed in this novel by Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Dhritarashtra, has been played by Jawaharlal Nehru, and Pandu, who has been played by Subhash Chandra Bose, and Vidur by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So you need to know this, that there are not all the things which are going to fit into the very similar way, like we see in Mahabharata, or we have read Mahabharata, but it is quite similar. As you will read the story, you will get to know that all these things are very, 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 very suitable to each other, and how he has tried to weave all these characters in a very flexible way. Now, another very important character, which is Nathuram Godse, he has been portrayed by as Shikhandi, who will kill Bhishma Pitama in the end. It does not happen in the end, it happens in the middle of the novel. So this is portrayed by Amba Shikhandini, or whatever you call it, as you must be knowing the Mahabharata story. So this Amba character, or Shikhandi, or anything, is portrayed by Nathuram Godse, who will kill Bhishma Pitama eventually. As Dhritarashtra has been portrayed by Jawaharlal Nehru, obviously his wife, that is Kamala Nehru, will be called Gandhari, and it is very, very appropriate to take it that way, because the way Gandhari was exploited just because his husband was a blind person. So Kamala Nehru was also very, very oppressed and exploited, because his husband was kind of into his own things, into his own policies, into his own politics, into his own position, and he gave very less importance to her, and that is what became the reason for her demise. Now, coming to Pandu has been played by Subhash Chandra Bose. So Subhash Chandra Bose is one of the most important martyrs and one of the most important leaders of India, who is given very less importance, in my opinion, and thus it has been portrayed by Pandu, who does not also play a very big role in Mahabharata, as he ties in the very beginning of the Mahabharata. So that is why I think the character is very appropriate also, and it has been shown in a very similar way as well. And Vidur, as we know, was one of the most intelligent, one of the most wise person in the Mahabharata, and he was one of the most person who protested against the exploitation of Draupadi in the Dut Keda. So and it has been portrayed by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who we know was the Iron Man of India, and he was one of the most wise persons, and people often say that he must have been a very good Prime Minister of our country, but I don't know if it is wrong or right or anything. So, and there is no question of right or wrong, but these things are very appropriately set by Mr. Shashi Tharoor, and I think I must applaud for even thinking about doing such a thing. So another very important character must be Draupadi of Mahabharata. She has not been portrayed by a single person, but she is called the democracy, which is Draupadi means democracy, and when it has been exploited, that is her Cheer Haran in the Dut Keda, and this is what I think this is also another very high level of thinking of the writer, that he has even thought about doing such a thing, and it is very appropriate actually when you see it and when you read it. So yeah, Draupadi has been portrayed by democracy. So another thing you must be wondering is that who are the Pandavas in this great Indian novel. So the first son of Pandu, which is the eldest son of Pandu, Yudhishthir, has been portrayed by Morarji Desai. He was the 4th Prime Minister of India, and he led the Janata Party, and that is all you have to know about this. And he was the first non-Congress Prime Minister of India. That is also very important to note. So the second son of Pandu, which is Bhima, as we know, is very powerful, and it is said that he possesses the strength of 1,000 elephants. So it has been portrayed by the Indian Army, that is one of the most strongest pillars of our country, and which are the most important pillars of a democracy. And you will get to know how it crumples into pieces when you read the book. Third son of Pandu, Arjun, the third Pandava, who is the most important, one of the most adored, one of the most strongest person is the Indian news media, which is the journalism and all those things, which have to see what is wrong and what is right and have to tell people about it. And this has been done by the Indian news media, which was one of the most important thing at that point in time. I'm not talking about the media of at this point in time, because this time it has just crumpled into pieces, as we call it. So yeah, third, the Arjun has been portrayed by the Indian news media or journalism, you can say. Now comes the fourth and the fifth Pandu, that is Nakul and Sadev, who are twins of Madhuri. They are the civil services and the foreign services of India. So here, this much. So one of the most important characters of the Mahabharata was Karna. So Karna has been portrayed in this novel by as Muhammad Ali Karna, who is Muhammad Ali Jinnah, but it has not been mentioned directly. And he is in opposition to the democracy of India, that is in opposition to the five brothers, who are the very five pillars of actually five pillars of democracy. So in the novel, as we see, the Pandavas are the pillars of democracy, that is Draupadi, that is Yudhishthir, Bhim, Nakul and Sahadev, and these have been given in 4 points. So these four are the pillars of democracy, and these need to be in the right place for democracy to function smoothly in any country, and especially in India. So now comes one of the most important character of the novel, which is Duryodhan. So Duryodhan is one of the most fearful, one of the most hated villains of all times, and it has been portrayed by none other than Indira Gandhi, who was our prime minister after the demise of Jawaharlal Nehru. So I think the character of Indira Gandhi has been kept in parallel with Duryodhan, because she is very, very a totalitarian kind of politician, and that is what makes him more like Duryodhan, who does not want to give any sort of power to any other person. He just wants everything for himself and not for the Pandavas, at least. So he is very difficult to handle, and also very totalitarian. I think this must. I think so. I think the characters of this novel are clear to all of you, and I will make another video, the part 2 of this video, to tell you the main plot and the main events of the story. Of course, I cannot talk to you about the line by line analysis of the book, but yeah, I will try to make it as simple to you as possible, and I would try to break it into pieces and tell what happens exactly in which chapter of the book, so you can get it very easily. So if you want the next video, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope I will see all of you in the next video. Bye bye.